मौसम थोड़ा बेहतर है।
थर्ड ईयर में
सो पैरासाइटोलॉजी का नाम है, इसमें ट्रेमाटोड्स
जी जी
Assalamualaikum bachcho. Today we will discuss trematodes. Trematodes are the second most important flukes, you can say, or the group from the platyhelminthes. And the other group we have already covered, those were cystodes. And in common language, we can call them as tapeworms. The most important medically, when we are saying that the most important, that means medically important, which are those organisms which causes diseases in the humans. So medically, humanly important trematodes are Schistosoma species. Those are called blood flukes. Clonorchis, which is liver fluke, and Paragonymous, which is lung fluke. Today we will discuss all these three of them. First of all, the most important is Schistosoma. It has three different types: Schistosoma mentionai, Schistosoma japonicum, and Schistosoma hematobium. Schistosoma causes schistosomiasis, and Schistosoma montanei and japonicum affects the gastrointestinal tract, while the Schistosoma hematobium affects the urinary tract. This is a picture for the both male and female part of the schistosoma. They exist separately but lives attached to each other. The female resides in a groove in the male, the gynophoric canal, and continuously fertilizes the eggs. These are the three different types of eggs of these three types of schistosomas. Mentionai has a prominent lateral tail. The japonicum has a small lateral spine, and the hematobium has a terminal spine. As you see, you can easily differentiate them on pictures. Schistosoma montanei and japonicum adults live in the mesenteric veins, and the schistosoma hematobium lives in the veins draining the urinary bladder. Schistosoma are known as blood flukes because they live in the veins and they feed themselves on the veins of the human. Humans are infected when the free-swimming fork-tailed cercari penetrate the skin. It's not from fecal route; it's direct into your blood by having a penetration through the skin. They differentiate to do a liver and enter the blood and are carried by the veins into the arterial circulation, from the venous to the arterial circulation. Those that enter the superior mesenteric artery passes into the portal circulation and reach the liver, and where they mature into adult flukes. These are Mentionae and Japonicum because these two are for the intestinal tract, while the other one is for urinary tract, hematobium. The hematobium adults reach the bladder veins through the venous plexus between the rectum and the bladder. In their definitive venous site, the female lays fertilized eggs which penetrate the vascular endothelium and enter the gut or bladder lumen respectively. If the first two are involved, they will go directly to the gut, while if the third one, that is hematobium, is involved, that will go to the bladder lumen. The eggs are then excreted in the stools and urine and must enter the fresh water to hatch, where they will become mature. Once hatched, the ciliated larva, that is Miracidae, penetrate the snails and undergo further development and multiplication to the produce many circi. The three schistosomes use different species of snails as intermediate host. All the three have different type of snails which they will use as an intermediate host. So they have to follow the life cycle. The cerci leaves the snail and enter the water and complete the cycle by penetrating the human skin. If you see this picture, this is a very good animated picture which will show that adult worms lays eggs in the water, fresh water, either through urine or through feces, and then these eggs become Mercadiae, and these are eaten by snail, where they complete their cycle, and then Cercariae are the one which get into the human body through penetration of the skin. This is also a very good example or the picture description. Through urine or feces, the fresh water get the eggs of these schistosomas, and then this is the next type, that is Merceriae. Then snails are taken up, where they produce a cercari, and these cercari get penetrated through the skin of the human into human blood. What is pathogenesis? Most of the pathological findings are caused by the presence of eggs in the liver, spleen, or the wall of the gut or bladder. If you see this picture, this is very important as far as your circulation is concerned. So starting from the above mature eggs, starting from the skin penetration, then these cerci become schistosomuli. These somuli larvae first to the lungs through venous circulation. From there, the pulmonary circulation, they get into the migration of the left heart circulation, and then they become mature in the liver, and then from there they get mature larvae which give eggs into the certain areas. If it is hematobium, that will go to the bladder lumen, while if it is for the intestine, the other two, they will go to intestine. From where they, either from the urine or from the feces, they get into the fresh water. Now they have this different type of snails which will which will take up these meteorite of the specific schistosoma, and then they result in the development of cercari, which again start the new cycle by penetrating a human skin, a new human skin. Eggs in the liver induce the granulomas, which lead to the fibrosis. Hepatomegaly will be there. Portal hypertension will be there. The granulomas are formed in the response of antigen secreted by the eggs. The hepatocytes are usually undamaged. The liver function tests remain normal, but the portal hypertension leads to splenomegaly. The Mencena eggs damage the wall of the distal colon, inferior mesenteric venules, while the Japonicum eggs damage the walls of the both small and large intestines, and superior and inferior mesenteric venules are involved. If you see, this is a very good picture of portal hypertension and later on varicose veins, which is caused by these organisms. It can be in the lower limbs or it can be on the GIT. So the abdominal varicose veins are there if the portal hypertension is there. The eggs of the schistosoma hematobium in the wall of the bladder induce granulomas and fibrosis, which can lead to carcinoma of the bladder. Now, this is a very important point as far as when they will ask you regarding the carcinoma of the bladder. If they ask you bacteria, you will tell them about the staphylococcus. And if they are asking you about the parasite, you will discuss about the schistosoma hematobium. The damage is due to both the digestion of the tissue by proteolytic enzymes produced by the eggs and to the host inflammatory response that forms granulomas in the venules. Cystosomas have involved a remarkable process for invading the host defenses, and there is evidence that this surface becomes coated with the host antigen, thereby limited by the ability to immune system to recognize them as a foreign body. Because they will be coated by the host antigen, so the body will not recognize, our immune system will not recognize them as a separate or an unknown entity. The epidemiology of the schistosomiasis depends on the presence of the specific freshwater snails that serves as an intermediate host. In the acute stage, which will begin shortly after the cerebral penetration in the body of the human, itching and dermatitis will occur within 2 to 3 weeks in the site, especially at the site of the bite or penetration. And fever, chills, diarrhea are common symptoms. Later on, lymphadenopathy and hepatosplenomegaly may develop. Eosinophilia is seen in response to migrating lava, and this stage usually resolves the simultaneously. In the chronic stage, significant morbidity and mortality occurs, and that is due to in the patients of Semensinai and Japonicum. That is due to a gastrointestinal hemorrhage, or by hepatomegaly, or by specific massive splenomegaly. The most common cause of death is accentuation from the ruptured visual varices. As I have shown you the variceal veins, but they were external. If there is a visual veins ruptured, there is a huge blood loss, and that results in the cause of death. The patients infected with the CMS hematobium have hematuria as their chief primary complaint, and superimposed by the bacterial UTIs occurring frequently because of this. How we will diagnose? This is basically diagnosed on the history, clinical findings, and the characteristic over present in either in urine or feces. If you have any history of getting penetration from the water, you have to eradicate urine as well. Otherwise, we just see the feces or the stool slide. But in this case, you have to follow the urine slide as well. This is also very important, a small summary kind of picture in which you should know that schistosomiasis is an acute and chronic neglected tropical disease. Disease is widespread in the poor community especially, and 221 million people affected worldwide. 9 out of those are infected are in Africa. So it's a very, very important or epidemic in Africa. Then the spread through the open defecation and urinary system is there. If you have a proper toilet system, then their chances are less. De-wasting health and economical issues are there. Then what are the population? Women and children are mostly the one who get affected, or the manual workers and fishermen who are working on a freshwater canal or some stagnated water canals. This is the same cycle which we have already discussed. People become infected when the lava forms parasites released by the freshwater snails, and they get penetrated in the skin during or doing anything in the water. Disease is usually either intestinal or urogenital. Intestinal are the first two, that is Japonicum and the other one, while the urogenital is due to hematobium. How you can prevent? By preventive chemotherapy, by snail control, by environmental management, by health education and social mobilization, by sanitation and access of safe water. Treatment, praziquantel is also the favorite one for this group of parasites as well, and is a treatment of choice for all three of these species. How you will prevent? As I told you before, you have to involve proper disposal of human waste, either it's feces, either it's urine, and eradication of the snail host when possible. And swimming in the areas of endemic with this infection, like in Africa, should be avoided or prohibited. Before starting the next topic, the question for today, which you will give reply is, which of the schistosoma is probably causing urinary symptoms? Which of the schistosoma causes urinary involvement? You have to write down the name of that organism. Which of the schistosoma? I will repeat question till a few minutes. It's yeah, next. Which of the schistosoma species is involved in the urinary tract, while the other two are involved in the intestinal tract? Which of the schistosoma species is involved in the urinary tract infection. Which of the schistosoma species are involved in the urinary tract infections? And last time I will repeat, which of the schistosoma species will cause infection of the urinary tract or which is involved directly in the urinary tract varicose veins. All right, the next topic is Clonorchis senesis, and it causes clonorchiasis, that is also called as Asian liver fluke. The schistosoma are called blood flukes. This is called liver fluke. The intermediate host is either fish or snail. Humans are infected by eating raw or undercooked fish containing the incested larvae, that is called metasaccharide, and after the excitation in the duodenum, the immature flukes enter the biliary ducts and differentiate into different adults. Eggs produced and passed into the feces, and eggs reaches the water. Now here the water, if the snail is host, it ingests the eggs, the Myceridiis hatches inside it and convert it into sporocysts, which multiply and radii and form cerci. These cerci leave the snails and then in fact the fish. When you then convert it into metasaccharide, these metasaccharide lives in the flesh or the muscles of the fish and then are taken up by the humans in the form of raw fish eating. If your fish is undercooked, then these all infection can cause the disease in humans. If you see this life cycle picture, it is very easy. When you eat the raw fish, it goes to the intestine, duodenum part of the intestine, where the egg become egg cysts and then they become adults in the biliary tract. And then the embryonated eggs are passed through the intestine, large intestine, into the fresh water, and where the snail ingests them. And then the mercury, so porocyst, radii, and cercari are the four different stages which occurs in the snail. And then from there, the free swimming cercari are released into the fresh water by snail itself. And then it is taken up by the fish. And the fish flesh or the fish muscle tissue is having all those metacercari which will enter the body of uh, human through intestine. In some infections, the inflammatory response can cause hyperplasia and fibrosis of the biliary tract, but otherwise there is no lesion in the biliary tract. What are the clinical findings? Most infections are asymptomatic. In the patients with a heavy worm burden, upper abdominal pain, anorexia, hepatomegaly, and eosinophilia occurs. How you diagnose? It is simply diagnosed by a platelet egg in the stool, and detection of egg is in the aspirates of duodenal fluid might be the one informative test for the laboratory diagnosis. Treatment is praziquantel. It is also effective for this one as well. Prevention is not to eat an uneducated fish or uncooked fish and proper disposal of human waste. The last one is Paragonemus. Paragonemus is also called as lung fluke. These organisms are named because if it is the blood fluke is involving the mesenteric veins, so that is it is named by the blood fluke. If it is involving the liver, so it is called liver fluke. And now this one involves the lungs, so it is named as lung fluke. So the humans are infected by eating raw or undercooked crab meat. Now here the crab is there, not the fish, containing the incested larvae. And after excitation of the small intestine, immature flukes penetrate the intestinal wall and migrate through the diaphragm into the lung parenchyma. They differentiate into the hermaphroditic adults and produce eggs that enter the bronchioles and are cuffed up or swallowed. Eggs in the either sputum or feces that reach the fresh water hatch into the marsupial and which enter the snail's first intermediate host. If you see, this is same like before. The only thing difference from the clonotrophs is that here the fish is converted into a crab. Otherwise, all the same stages occur. Within the lung, the worms exist in a fibrous capsule that communicates with the bronchiole. Secondary bacterial infection frequently occurs, resulting in the bloody sputum. The main symptom is the chronic cough with a bloody sputum. Now, here you have to differentiate it from the tuberculous symptoms because in TB, as I told you before, we already learned it that the chronic cough with bloody sputum, you have to rule out TB first. And then, after correlating the history of freshwater involvement, you will have to rule out paragonemus. Dyspnea, pleuristic chest pain, recurrent attacks of bacterial pneumonia are very important. The disease can resemble tuberculosis. How we will diagnose? The diagnosis will be made by finding the typical operculated eggs and in the sputum or feces. Serological tests are not useful. Treatment consequential is the choice of a treatment, and prevention is to cook the crabs properly before eating them, and this is the best method. And obviously, the human sanitation system should be very mature. This is all for today, but I just want to give you a review of the Schistosoma species. As I told you, there are three species, Mansonia, Japonicum, and Hematobium. All three involve the mesenteric vessels. The Mansonia and Japonicum basically involves the GIT and portal system, while the Hematobium directly went into the urinary system, and it will erode the mucosal lining of the urinary bladder lumen, and that results into the carcinoma formation later on in the urinary bladder, while upper two do portal hypertension and all. If you see the cycle, it's same like that one, which I told you. Snails are basically involved, and in all different types of three snail species are involved, and mainly they causes varicose vein after portal hypertension, and this type of sign and symptoms should be appeared a little less or more than that. And this one is the main key picture, which will give you a little hint about all the things which are involved in the schistosomiasis. So you have to add these points in your book. In chlorinatus, I told you it's a liver fluke, so mainly involving the liver, while the Pleuromonas is lung, so it is involving the lung tissue. That's all for today. Last time again, I will repeat the question. Which of the above schistosoma species are involved in urinary tract infections or urinary bladder? I hope you have all written your answers because your second attendance will be maintained by those. If you have any question, you can ask. Okay, thank you guys. Your next lecture is of pathology. Dr. Aruj will join you soon. Take a break of 5-10 minutes and then she will be here. Thank you. उनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट ही नहीं है